I won't say who, but one of us just dropped the greatest anime tier list of all time. And it wasn't you. What up, weebs? I hope your day is as good as my taste, because I'm about to kill 2 stones with 1 bird by ranking every anime from summer and spring 2023. Also, my rent's due again, so at some point in this video, I'm gonna tell you to download War Thunder. But for now, let's rank some anime. Do you ever find yourself watching anime and wondering, what if the main character was a vending machine? Well, Reborn as a vending machine is one of those anime that makes you reevaluate your life. People my age are getting married and having children. Meanwhile, I'm just sitting here watching an anime about a guy who turns into a fucking vending machine. And the sad part is, I kinda like it. That's because here in America, vending machines are boring. You press a button, it shits out a room temperature Pepsi, and then you have to go wash your hands because the button you pressed was probably covered in chlamydia. But Japanese vending machines are a lot more Japanese, and a lot more advanced. And this anime showcases all the cool stuff Japanese vending machines can do, like serving hot meals, experiencing emotions, and creating force fields. At first, this anime is pretty fun and interesting, but it gets old after a couple episodes. Kinda like a plate of nachos after you eat all the good pieces at the top, and then you're just left with a bottom layer of naked, boring chips. C tier. Zom 100 is a very good zombie anime that isn't really about the zombies. The main character, Akira, felt dead inside after working a boring office job for 3 years, and it wasn't until the zombie apocalypse happened that he finally felt alive again. So now he's basically just ignoring the zombies to instead enjoy his freedom and do all the things he wished he could do in the past. And that got me wondering what I would do if there was a zombie apocalypse. Well, can zombies get pregnant? If not, then I would probably raise an army of plants, put a smite enchantment on my sword, and then go look for the mystery box. But I think I'm fucked either way. I mean, half the people in my country would become activists for zombie rights, and the other half, who's actually kind of prepared for a zombie apocalypse, would just deny that it's even happening. Oh, this anime is S tier, by the way. I'm sorry if I got political there for a second, guys. I try to keep politics out of my videos because, you know, it's best to avoid sensitive topics. Mr. President, a 2nd season of Mushoku Tensei has hit the South Tower. Man, it's so great to be watching Mushoku Tensei again. Rudeus returns finally for another adventure and faces an entirely different challenge than ever before. Apparently, Orsted wasn't the only thing that was hard to beat, because this season, Rudy's primary enemy is erectile dysfunction. That's right. Dealing with erectile dysfunction isn't easy, but it isn't hard either. And my theory is that it's the direct result of Roxy not getting any screen time. Last season though, Rudeus traveled the world. He fought monsters and saved lives until he just couldn't keep it up anymore. So this season, he settles down a bit and takes a much softer approach by going to school instead. So some of you might call this season a flop. If you ask me though, it isn't hard to enjoy. And as always, the music in this anime is simply phenomenal. I'm a big fan of both the OP and the ED. In his previous life, Rudeus probably worked for Ubisoft, but then he quit because he couldn't get a raise. Earlier today, when Rudeus woke up, he had morning wouldn't. Anyway, God tier is a fair, objective ranking because if I was biased, I would have put this above God tier. Mushoku Tensei is like in my top 3, guys. It's so insanely immersive, I actually feel like I'm experiencing the story as Rudeus, even though I have nothing in common with him. He's not even a good person yet, but the author was talented enough to trick me into supporting him anyway, and that level of writing is just hard to come by. My unique skill makes me OP even at level 1. Now this is just what the doctor ordered. Except I'm not the doctor, and I didn't fucking order it. ChatGPT could write a better story than this because unlike the author, at least AI has intelligence. I don't want to waste anyone's time, so instead of explaining why this anime sucks, I'm just gonna list a few things I would rather do than watch it. Eat a battery, step on a Lego, sniff a fursuit, meth, watch my parents fuck, ride a cactus, lick a urinal, eat British food, kill myself, shit my pants in North Korea while getting a blowjob from the jaw titan. D tier. Temple is a new ecchi anime about a former simp who's sick and tired of being horny all the time. He decided to give up women altogether by pursuing self-enlightenment and becoming a monk. Except the temple he goes to live at doesn't have any monks. Instead, it's just full of sluts. He then gets into all sorts of impossible situations, like when he trips and conveniently lands on top of a naked girl who accidentally starts kissing him. So as expected from an ecchi anime, the plot is pretty fucking dumb. but the way I see it is in 4K. However, it seems like everyone has a completely different view on ecchi anime. Like, personally, I view it in slow motion with the sound muted. But my point is, porn acting isn't compared to regular acting, so should we apply that same logic to ecchi? From my perspective, there's 8 monitors. Anyway, Temple is a D-tier anime, but a C-tier ecchi. Konosuba, an explosion on this wonderful world, is the Konosuba prequel from last season featuring Megumin's backstory, and in case you're Patrick Star's roommate, Megumin is a mage who can only cast 1 spell. But then after she does, she falls over and dies for 2 months. Kinda like me after I upload a video. Now, I definitely preferred Megumin in the original Konosuba, but I think that's because she works better as a side character, unless it's a doujin. I know she's the fan favorite, so I might get a lot of hate for this, but I feel like her prequel wasn't nearly as funny or entertaining as I hoped. B tier isn't bad. I mean, B's will get you into college, but this anime just kind of felt like something was missing. Or honestly, it felt like everything was missing. I miss Kazuma. I miss Aqua. I miss Darkness. I miss Aqua. I call this a transition. Oshi no Ko is a drama series from last season that showcases the dark side of the entertainment industry and features a group of interesting characters, each with a different motive and a gripping storyline. There's a love triangle, a revenge story, an idol group, and even an underlying reincarnation subplot. It's one of the most ambitious anime ever made, and it absolutely nailed everything it aspired to achieve. Without question, Oshi no Ko was the best anime of the spring season, as well as a top contender for anime of the year. Also, the opening song is currently the leading cause of global warming. I bought a new subwoofer a little while ago and played this song at maximum volume, and long story short, I got permabanned from Canada. God tier. My love story with Yamada-kun at level 999 was a solid A tier anime. It's another rom-com about a guy named Yamada-kun, except instead of having 7 witches, this time he has no bitches. And that's a personal decision because Yamada-kun actually got hit on a lot, especially by the main character Akane. The problem is Yamada-kun is addicted to gaming, which is a lot more important than reality. And as you guys don't know, having a girlfriend is like having a full-time job that doesn't pay you, and having sex is just a waste of XP. So despite Akane's efforts, Yamada-kun tries his best to ignore her so he can rightfully prioritize playing War Thunder instead. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, available for free on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. You can fight other players with over 2,000 different tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships, with hundreds of customization options available too. Although War Thunder strives to be historically authentic, the community decided to make history even cooler by creating custom waifu skins for their vehicles. I would totally let this Roxy plane bomb me. Other than that though, these vehicles are pretty much one-for-one models of the actual thing. Like, I don't even know how they did that. Honestly, it's kinda weird. Like, I'm not used to video games being this accurate. For example, instead of hit points, you damage the individual components of the vehicle depending on where you hit it, and this X-ray feature shows you exactly what happened. Download War Thunder right now for free with my link in this video's description. You also get a free Dakimakura that can be placed anywhere on your tank, and my link is the only way to get it. New players will even get a bonus pack with 7 days premium, 100k silver lions, and a booster. Thank you again to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Rent-a-Girlfriend got a season 3, and I just want to know who else is actually still watching this shit. I mean, I won't lie to you, I read the manga, okay? But I wouldn't go back and read it a second time, and if it wasn't for this tier list, I sure as hell wouldn't be watching the anime either. It's just so painful to sit through because I already know exactly what's going to happen this season, and in case you're wondering what that is, the magic conch will spoil it for you. Nothing happens in this anime ever. The author must be good at yoga because he's stretching this series out as far as he fucking can. Which reminds me, guys, if I ever fall into a coma and lose most of my brain function, please just pull the plug and let me die. Don't keep me on life support for as long as possible until my eventual death brings people relief instead of despair. Don't let me end up like Rent-a-Girlfriend. Anyway, this is the part of the video where I completely sabotage my own credibility. I'm giving this A tier because I could have and should have dropped Rent-a-Girlfriend at any point in the story, salvaging at least a bit of my dignity as my ancestors watch over me with shame. But I didn't, and I haven't. Something about Rent-a-Girlfriend keeps me addicted and entertained, and while I definitely feel like my time is being wasted, I can't say that I'm not excited whenever a new chapter comes out. Sometimes good entertainment is possible without good writing. Saint Cecilia and Pastor Lawrence is a church anime about the romance between a pastor healer and a saint named Cecilia, who surprisingly isn't an adolescent boy. She's a saint who helps people in need, and she lives with Pastor Lawrence, who she also has a crush on. They don't really do anything though, they just kind of exist. It's a slice of life, so although not much happens, there's also not much to complain about. I like the church theme too, it's a nice contrast from the typical high school setting, so I'll give this anime B tier for being original. Jujutsu Kaisen is one of those anime that operates on a completely different level than everything else, and season 2 is just casually adapting one of the greatest arcs in shonen history. This series is one of the few names that are essentially carrying modern anime at the moment, so whether or not you're a fan of shonen, you have to admit that this anime is exceptional. I'm not asking you to drop to your knees and worship Jujutsu Kaisen like it's Roxy's underwear or something. I'm just saying that as anime fans, we should at least respect what Jujutsu Kaisen is doing. God tier. I could continue sucking this anime's dick just as it's been sucked a billion times before, but let me just put it this way. If Jujutsu Kaisen is the LeBron James of modern anime, then the new season of Bleach is like if Michael Jordan came back to the NBA last year and was somehow better than he was in his prime. So my review of Bleach is going to be pretty brief because I think most of you are familiar with this anime already, so I shouldn't really have to tell you where I'm ranking it. It's God tier, and if you don't believe me, then just watch it and you'll understand. Explaining why Bleach is God tier is like Shiro Emiya explaining that people die when they are killed. But speaking of Fate, the new Fate anime looks pretty good so far, however I'm not gonna rank it since there's only one episode. It was fire though. Anyway, Classroom for Heroes is a fun power fantasy about this overpowered kid who goes to hero school and impresses all the girls with his amazing abilities. The plot sucks and the characters suck too, but it's a lot more enjoyable if you just roleplay that you're the main character and pretend that you're the one doing all the cool stuff and impressing the girls. It's pretty much the same thing as that Demon King Academy anime, except it's an ecchi, which means it's better. C tier. Masamune-kun's Revenge R. I remember watching the first season of this anime a long time ago, and that's about the biggest compliment I can give to it. Seriously, I mean that was like 4 presidents ago. But basically, Masamune had a crush on a girl named Aki when he was younger, except back then he was built kinda like Kim Jong-un, so Aki rejected him and broke his heart, and he's held a grudge ever since. Now his goal is to make her fall in love with him so that he can dump her. Sounds interesting, right? Well, this season that premise pretty much resolves itself, except nothing really changes. I kind of expected a bit more, but I guess I underestimated how dumb the protagonist is. His stupidity really annoyed me this season. Like in episode 6, he takes Aki on a movie date, and he buys her 2 tickets for 2 different seats because he didn't know if she planned on sitting next to him on their date. Like, dude, come on. I know you aren't that dumb. At least now I know what the R stands for. Although it might hurt to watch sometimes, I'm still a fan. This anime's cool. B tier. Magical Girl Destroyer is the nickname they used to call me in high school, but it's also the title of this anime. Basically, the government decides to randomly criminalize anime and starts capturing otaku and knocking down buildings and killing people and shit. Japan is literally in ruins, a war has broken out, and the story follows a group of otaku that went into hiding to form a resistance against the government. The premise is pretty interesting and unique, the entertainment value is decent, and I really like the humor, but overall this anime does kinda suck. It's like if Kill la Kill was bad. It's still worth a watch, and you'll probably enjoy it, but I can't rank it any higher than C tier. The Dangers in My Heart is a really good romance about this lonely kid who thinks he hates the world. He fantasizes about killing his classmates and has all sorts of edgy thoughts, but it's obvious that all he really wants is a friend. So he gets a waifu instead. She's a model named Yamada, and she's like 10 meters taller than him. He initially planned on murdering her, but after they start hanging out, he realizes that murdering people is kinda cringe. The plot might have gone a bit differently if this anime took place in America, so I'm happy to watch the main character develop and reflect on how stupid he was in the beginning. Overall, this anime is incredible. A tier. Oh, and I almost forgot, episode 9 had a ReZero reference. S tier. Am I actually the strongest? The answer is no. You're actually the weakest anime on this tier list. This anime essentially tried to, well, no, that's giving it too much credit. This anime essentially wanted to copy the premise of Mushoku Tensei, but instead made it infinitely worse in every aspect. If Mushoku Tensei is liquid gold, then this anime is liquid diarrhea. They should have called it Mushoku Wansei. I just finished watching it like an hour ago, yet I don't remember a single single character's name or anything that happened, other than when this grown woman asked an infant child for his seed. I guess at least something was memorable. Aside from that, it's just another formulaic, mass-produced isekai that should consider itself lucky that this tier list stops at D tier. My Happy Marriage is a historical anime starring a girl who was treated like shit her entire life. Her parents and siblings abused her as a child, and then as soon as she turned like 5 years beneath the age of consent, they sold her off to marry some guy she's never even met. However, she actually falls in love with him, probably because he's the first guy who doesn't beat her for the crime of existing. Regardless, her standards might need a raise because she keeps praising him for doing the bare minimum. He'll be like, "After you finish cooking my dinner, I suppose I might allow you to eat some too." And then she'll fall to her knees crying because no one's ever treated her so kindly before. Oh, and remember her family members who forced her into this arranged marriage? Well, after they realize she's actually kind of vibing with it, they're like, "Wait, never mind, you can't marry him anymore." So yeah, the plot takes a couple goofy turns in order to make the main character suffer as much as possible, but later on it gets better, and watching the bad guys lose is extremely satisfying. It's also just a beautiful anime in general, and I thought it was interesting how it's adapting something called a book, which I guess is similar to a light novel. A tier might be a bit low now that it's been contaminated by Rent-a-Girlfriend, but I don't know. Let's see how the rest of the season plays out. The Dreaming Boy is a Realist is a high school rom-com about this guy who obsessively stalks and harasses one of his female classmates even though she isn't interested in him, until one day he gets hit by a ball, and for some reason that convinces him to give up on the girl. So he leaves her alone finally. However, I guess she already developed Stockholm Syndrome at this point because she randomly starts to like him. Now, I should remind everyone that this is a fictional story written by a delusional author. Okay? If a woman rejects you, that doesn't make her a tsundere. It means she doesn't like you. And she's not gonna change her mind about that after you find out where she lives and hide in her bushes. If you like a girl, don't follow her home, follow me on Twitter. There's a link to my Twitter in the bottom of the description. I might not help you get a girlfriend, but you can help me get more followers. Anyway, this anime sucks. I kinda like it for some reason, but I can't recommend it. C tier. My Tiny Senpai is another rom-com anime, except it isn't a high school setting. That's right, this anime takes place at work, which means the lolly is an adult this time. Wait, what? Lolly? What do you mean? Why is there a lolly? Oh, you haven't heard? This is the new trope now. The characters might look underage, and they might act underage, but trust me bro, she's 18. I feel like I've seen this anime before multiple times, but it's so forgettable that they can get away with airing it again every season because nobody remembers it. I find it kind of funny how Japan has probably the most sensitive copyright laws in the entire world, yet they just allow studios to make the exact same anime over and over again. This rant is mostly about isekai, but I just hope you guys like this trope as well because we're gonna have a lot more of these to watch in the future. C tier. Oh, and the ending song is straight fire. Not because it means the episode is ending, but like, it's just a good song. Summoned to Another World for a Second Time is the second time an anime has made me want to kill myself this year. This garbage was last season's generic D tier isekai that I'm not even gonna bother talking about. The story was probably written by some type of algorithm, which reminds me, if you're still watching this video, please hit that like button for the algorithm. I don't normally beg for likes because, honestly, I don't do this for the money. Liar Liar is a strategy game anime about a school where the students are ranked based on their win-loss ratio in random games like rock, paper, scissors and stuff like that. The main character, for complicated reasons, becomes the rank 1 student on accident, and now that he's the Zezima of the school, everybody wants to challenge him. So to maintain his status, he has to win by cheating. And for some reason, they give him this hot maid who lives with him now. She kinda just follows him around and helps him with shit, and she's hot. But other than her, this anime is nothing special. Personally, I always have a good time watching it, but you know, honestly, it's pretty bad. I am giving it bonus points for not being an isekai though, so everyone please welcome Liar Liar to C tier. Skip and Loafer is a drama anime about a girl from the countryside who moves to Tokyo for school. She's a bit different than everybody else, and she doesn't really fit in with the other students. But despite that, she meets a kind person who likes her because she's different, and they form a really wholesome friendship. Story time. Back in 1957, when I was in high school, people used to get bullied for being different. So I tried very very hard to fit in with the other kids by acting as normal as possible. And before I realized it, I had become so afraid of being different that I stopped being myself. And then my girlfriend cheated on me. And then I got back together with her again after she apologized, and then she cheated on me again. I got hit with a fucking combo. So just be yourself. I think the moral of this anime is that it's better to be a little bit weird than to be a cuck. S tier. The Duke of Death and His Maid is a really good romance about this kid who has a curse that kills any living thing that touches him, but he also has a really sexy maid who teases him 24/7. They're in love, but if he ever touches her, then their romance would become necrophilia real fast. It's wholesome, funny, and kinda sad. The CGI is kinda weird at first, but you get used to it. Regardless, I very much love this anime, and I even made a full video on the first season. A tier, but it's almost an S. Heavenly Delusion was a really underrated post-apocalyptic anime with an amazing opening song. It alternates between two storylines, one focusing on adventure and exploration, while the other is more of a mindfuck mystery that makes you question every detail. Thinking is something I don't normally do when watching anime, but this one was like doing cardio for your brain. Every episode left me with more theories than I had when I started watching it, and it's just impossible not to be invested in such a thrilling story. Episode 8 was the best episode of anything I've watched in 2023 so far, but we need to talk about episode 12. There was a scene, and the scene was, I'll put it like this. If you had a Japanese accent and you tried to say the word lape, that's what the scene was. Now, some would argue that this topic has no place in fiction whatsoever, but my problem was the insulting way the author handled it afterwards by making the victim recover immediately 10 minutes later without any trauma whatsoever, as if what just happened wasn't a big deal. I thought that was dumb as fuck, but that's the only complaint I had about this anime. And if not for that, I think Heavenly Delusion might have had a shot at God tier, but it is what it is. S tier. Horimiya is a rom-com that I really admire because the writing feels like it respects your intelligence. They didn't dumb down the characters in order to stretch out the plot, nor did they pollute the story with unnecessary drama just for the sake of having conflict. It's literally just a comedy featuring a cute couple that liked each other and then started dating. That's it. Plus the jokes are funny. Now, although I very much enjoy Horimiya as a series, I don't think this sequel is revolutionary or anything, but it's still Horimiya, so I can't place it any lower than A tier. Hell's Paradise is a shonen adventure anime about a group of violent criminals that are sent to a mysterious island to find the elixir of immortality. And it basically turns into the Holy Grail War. Everyone starts killing each other, but quickly realizes that their true enemy is the environment. This island holds a lot of hidden secrets and dangerous monsters, and it's extremely entertaining to watch the characters journey deeper every episode. This was one of the anime I looked forward to watching the most when it was airing. There's a fair amount of goofy shonen plot points and cheap fan service, but overall the entertainment value is strong enough to earn this anime a ranking of S tier. I enjoyed this one tremendously. The Girl I Like Forgot Her Glasses is an anime about a girl who can't remember to wear her glasses even though she literally can't function without them. So naturally the main character decides to be the hero that helps her get through the day. I feel like this was supposed to be wholesome, but the main character was already in love with the girl before he met her, so it's not like he was interested in her personality or anything. In fact, he's kind of a degenerate. Like, why do I know this kid has a foot fetish one episode into the anime when I haven't even heard his name yet? You know what? This kind of sucks actually. This anime is bad. The visuals are very nice at times, but there's also a lot of odd camera angles that feel like a creative choice that didn't really pan out. I respect the studio for trying something different, but overall this anime disappointed me because it could have been really good. C tier. Insomniacs After School was a wholesome, comforting romance about two students who have trouble sleeping at night, so they get into astronomy and stargazing instead. Eventually, they grow comfortable with one another and start sleeping together during the day. I don't mean sleeping together, but like sleeping together. I feel like that sentence shouldn't have made as much sense as it did. Like I said though, this anime is wholesome, and it's a great way to relieve stress because the plot is very simple, cozy, and relaxing, so ironically, I've actually been using this anime to fall asleep to. I can't think of any complaints I have, but if your attention span requires constant action and fight scenes, then this probably isn't the anime for you. A tier. Vinland Saga Season 2. Yeah, don't forget that Vinland Saga continued airing into the spring season, guys. Did you think I wasn't gonna put it in God tier? It's fucking Vinland Saga. This is one of the greatest anime of all time, and it accomplished that without having a single waifu in the entire show. That just makes it even more impressive. I thought the second season was still just as good as the first season, despite not being quite as exciting as the first season. It makes sense the direction the story is going, but I can't help but miss the days when Thorfinn would murder half the cast every episode. It's just more entertaining to watch someone play DPS than tank, you know? Unless they're playing War Thunder. Remember to give War Thunder a try for free and get your very own Dakimakura, only with my link in this video's description, available on PC and console. Big shout out once again to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Anyway guys, this has gone on for way too fucking long. I don't ever want to make a tier list as big as this again unless I'm streaming it or something. It's just too much editing, you know? I hope you guys enjoyed the video though. If there's anything on this tier list you disagree with, leave a comment. I'm gonna go start working on my next video, or maybe I'll disappear for 2 months again. You never know what might happen on Echidnut's YouTube channel. As for anyone wondering where I went, well, I was actually busy training under Galfarian at the Sword Sanctum. I'm sorry for leaving you so suddenly, but I'll try to be more consistent with uploads from now on. That's all for now though. Keep talking about anime. Peace out.